Hvala na pozivu. Dobar dan svima. Moje ime je Eva Vaništa Lazarević, ja sam redovni profesor Arhitektonskog fakulteta u Beogradu i sa mnom je na ovom radu radio moj asistent, kolega Branislav Antonić, koji je evo kandidat za skori doktorat. Prvo, žela bih zaista da se zahvalim našim sjajnim domaćinima, profesorima Todorović. Yes, I'm asked to speak in English, excuse me. But also I have here my colleagues from Greece who asked me to speak in Serbian. That's why I maybe forget something, excuse me. So I would like to thank really a lot to our host, Professor Todorovic, who asked us, the architects, which are not involved directly to this topic, but till now we have heard a lot of interesting things about a focus of this conference. I'm really very grateful for that. My topic is indeed urban renewal, and it is linked with our cities, which now should be strongly and needed resistant. So this is the link maybe between our two topics. As the architects, we are usually considered like somehow not enough rigid or maybe too artistically devoted. But as the urbanists, and we both of us are working in an urbanistic world, we are dealing really with all sorts of measuring, also with evaluation, so we can link somehow with you guys. I would like only to say a few words, like an introduction to our topic of resistant cities of today, because I was invited 2 years ago to be a professor, visiting professor in Abu Dhabi, conceiving the new urban principles and also, of course, resistant cities. And a sort, I taught a royal family how to build the city. Of course, they were really nervous, and they wanted to have all in short sentences, in maybe 10 sentences, because they were running after their money afterwards, don't have enough time to learn. And also I was amazed because those guys, the royal family, were indeed finished their studies in mostly prestigious schools of United Kingdom and US. So I had to be really short and straight, and I tried to focus their attention to mixed development, which is the principles #1 for a new design of the cities, to transit, to the transit thoughts, of course on placemaking, which is really important to be revitalized and to be not only fancy but interesting, and for people to feel really safe and secure in those fantastic new public squares. Of course, I would like to focus on so-called complete societies, resilient societies, with bicycles, also with integration of a technical and industrial system, as well as with local sources for everything, food, human resources, and all sorts of most needed elements for society. So we have, of course, to plan the economic disaster, and of course we have to plan all sorts of issues, to be prepared. That's the essence of the resilient urban guidelines. Now I would like to ask my young colleague, a very prospective one, to say a few words about our paper. Thank you very much.
Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen, Eva Vaništa Lazarević, my name, so I will continue. I will try to be fast. Urban resilience. This is quite new topic, both for the world and for us. Actually, new interpretation developed after the economic crisis in 2008 has made that shift from, let's say pretty focused seeing of this topic to more broad interpretation. So we are now aware that climate changes are something pretty familiar, pretty everyday thing. You can see something. First picture is actually from Serbia, from Obrenovac 2 years ago. Huge floods in Serbia and in the region. What is the main point of this? I think that sustainable development was, let's say, 3 or 4 times mentioned in the last hours in this room. Now we have a new phenomenon, new panacea, global thing, which is becoming really famous and I'd say important for future development, and it is more relevant to process than to outcomes. If you read documents regarding sustainable development, they are more related with outcomes and how you will reach some level of development or level of, let's say, to cut pollution and so on. Here, process is in the focus, and it is more interesting. It is interesting how it will be implemented, because this new, let's say, level of this topic is it's a novelty at the global level, and implementation is still ongoing issue. So implementability in the case of Serbia, it's the topic of this paper and presentation. Resilience at the global, so pretty familiar word. You can find a lot of explanations, a lot of aspects regarding resilience, but all of them are pretty based on response, adaptation, preparedness as the key issues. So the focus is to be prepared to a challenging world, which is with this globalization really in the focus. It is really an issue globally and both locally. So urban resilience, we can see these two periods, before and after 2008, after the start of the crisis. So you can see that first part was more focused to climate change and more concretely risk and disaster management. After these years, it has gained a broader sense, and it is more relevant to easy adaptation to fast changing reality. That's the problem of today. So there are many definitions. It is quite common in the case of all global concepts and global theoretical models. Many definitions, many explanations. Here the point is on the process to be adaptive, to be easily customized and something like that. Urban resilience, related to urban areas. We have just heard that cities are in the let's say in the centers of modern world, and now, let's say 5 years ago, we have that situation, then the world is more urban than rural. So the future is in the cities, and we need to adapt them to be more resilient. That is one of the logos, the newest logos of United Nations bodies and organizational structures, something like that. Then we have these, let's say, strong words like to be flexible, responsive, adaptive, interconnected, and so on. And it is related with all tiers in cities. So leadership, well-being, economy, infrastructure, environment, and so on. Here you can find one of the guidelines proposed by global level by OECD. 4 pillars of urban resilience in economy, society, governments, and the environment, and they will be further elaborated in upcoming years. So, in the case of urban design, here urban design is that micro scale development in the cities. We want to check how it can be implemented in that small scale projects like square streets, neighborhoods, and so on. We think that there are many common things in both urban resilience and urban design. Both of them have that broad approach to, let's say, to make compromise between economy and society. So economic and social side of this in the cities. Then there is also to make links between creativity and engineering, then human development and nature. So we have that common things which can be easily seen in both fields. To check these principles, we choose now they're well known UN Social Development Goals from the last year. One of the goals is dedicated for cities, because now they are important and they're let's say 15-something% of the population living in the cities, and they're further elaborated in 10 targets. You can see just several all important words are underlined. So housing, transport system, participation, heritage, disasters, and so on. We try to find principles which can be easily implementable in the case here, in the case of the Serbia. We customized them to be more related with urban design. Okay. So you can see these resilient elements of urban, so housing, transport, participation, heritage, risk management, environment, urban greenery, urban-rural links, urban governments, and local awareness. So generally pretty basic things, but now constructed in a new system. If you want to find how it can be developed in the case of urban design, we can see that urban resilience supports mixed type and mixed dense residential development, and also mixed use land development. Then urban mobility, accessible public transport, formal participation, but also informal participation in formal education. Then functional side of heritage, not just to be protected but also to be used. Then risk management, of course, it is the foundation of this concept. Then environmental issues are really important. We need to find minimal standards, especially in Serbia, how to take care about environmental protection. Minimal standards are also very important for urban greenery, because it is really important for well-being in the cities, and it is generally in efficiency at global level and also in the Serbia. Then we need to be focused also on that links between urban and rural. More concretely, in the case of Serbia, illegal settlements and illegal to cope with illegal housing construction. Then resilient urban governments. This is pretty new thing, new field. ICT-driven measures which should be implemented side by side by a smart solution and smart city model. And finally, to use local tradition, local materials, so use both local and global knowledge to make local outcomes and local results. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Some questions?
I have a question, if you allow.
Please.
Congratulations, Professor. I have a very direct question.
Okay.
Let's keep aside maybe Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and let's try to concentrate on our old good Europe. Regarding the Middle Age history, which are the main threats and challenges of the good old cities in Europe? Let's try to nominate at least 7 threats to the urban life in Middle Age and modern Europe, and the 8th, probably I'll tell it to you.
So treats for
Threats and
middle.
challenges.
Okay. I don't know. Starvation. Let's say famine. Bad sanitation conditions. Flows, of course. Fires and arsons. Let's say 5 of them. I don't know if I can find.
I remember
illnesses.
the Black Plague.
Yes, of course. Yes, in the last centuries of medieval age. So
I'm proposing that you can drink a coffee and discuss, and I'll pay a coffee.
My 8th would be, most of our wonderful cities are awful creditors to banks, to the states, and so on.